Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Pearse McLaughlin. Hello, Pearse.
Hello, how you doing?
Doing well. On today's podcast, we'll be reacting to last weekend's Scottish Premier League results and English Premier League results. We'll be reacting to the latest managerial sacking in the English Premier League. We'll also be giving our thoughts on the Ballon D'Or results that came through this week. And at the end of the podcast, Pearse will be giving a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So we'll start off, as always, with the Scottish Premier League results from last weekend. So on Saturday, the 26th of October, we had 3 matches which finished Dundee 1, St Johnstone 2, Ross County 2, Kilmarnock 1, Aberdeen 1, Dundee United 0. And then on Sunday, the 27th of October, we had 3 matches which finished Hibs 1, Hearts 1, Motherwell 0, Celtic 3, and Rangers 2, St Mirren 1. So, Pearse, which match stands out to you the most?
I think there's a few matches that can stand out. I think one that really impressed me was obviously Aberdeen 1, Dundee United 0. Continues a perfect unbeaten start to the season. Obviously it was a tough game against a Dundee United side that have been high flying, sitting in 4th at the table, and had a really good home record. And it was a very cagey affair at times. Aberdeen weren't really at their best, but in the end they seem to find a way, and that just the machine that Aberdeen just keeps rolling on, and every week they keep picking up more points, picking up results, not getting a defeat. It just makes them, for me, just title challengers, in my opinion. I think the longer it goes on, the longer for me they're not going to fall away, and the more confidence it will bring within the squad and the manager himself. And I think Aberdeen is just a force to be reckoned with at the moment. And long may it continue, because you want a team outside the traditional old firms, Celtic and Rangers, to be challenging for the league. Because usually, like, the teams usually maybe first 5-6 games and then they fade away. Like sometimes Hearts, Hibs, and etc. But no, it's really, really exciting to see. Even when they're not playing well at their best, they're still putting up results and they're getting goal scores from all over the park. So the boy Ambrose at the weekend, I think it's his first start, his first goal. But again, for me, that was a really impressive result. And also, I want to touch on the Dundee 1, St Johnstone 2. That's the new manager, is it Valkyrie?
Valakari.
Valakari, yeah. So he's picked up another impressive result. When literally, like, Dundee have been on, like, I would say, a pretty poor run at the moment, but they come from a goal down, and then second half and turn it around. And that just shows for me, like, he's got something there, and he's getting a tune out of the players. And like we said at the start of the season, I think, like, the 2 boys up front, and obviously Sidibe and Kim Kipoyaki, is it? Kim Pioco, sorry, butchering the names there. But no, the 2 boys up front are a handful. And then you've got experienced players like Graham Kerry and Nicky Clark, who scored the 1 at the weekend, there's a massive delay in the game. It was about a 3-4 minute delay over VAR to check for potential fouls, but they get a result, and that's an impressive start to his tenure as St Johnstone manager. And who knows, keeps them further away from Hibs and Hearts. And at the end of the season, these points could be crucial, because we all expect St Johnstone, Ross County, these teams to be down at the bottom, fighting relegation in the season. So any points you can get in the moment will be pivotal come the end of the season. So I just thought the 2 results for me were the standout performances.
Yeah, my standout result is obviously the one that you just said, which was Aberdeen 1, Dundee United 0. For the obvious reasons of the fact that it meant that Aberdeen are still up there. So the fact that they won on Saturday night, it resulted in them being top of the table just for a day at least. Obviously Celtic won 3-0 on the Sunday. So, but the end of October, and they're still there, still unbeaten. And it was a tough game for them. In the first half, they didn't play well. They didn't really create a lot, and then in the second half, they were much better. Kind of the same as last weekend against Celtic. First half not great, second half much better. and the subs that Jimmy Taylor made kind of made the difference. Obviously, Peter Ambrose comes on for Aberdeen and gets a winner. Kind of shows the great thinking that Jimmy Taylor has. Obviously, brought him on to secure all the 3 points. But Aberdeen still there, still going strong. Still early days, but I thought that was a significant result for them. And these kind of results, and it's a big if they're still in a title race come April, then the fact that these kind of results, like 1-0 against Dundee United in October, will come very handy if they are to go all the way this season. But big result for them. And then just quickly touch on the Edinburgh Derby. Obviously, that ended 1 each. That was a big one for Hibs, because I think if Hibs were to have lost that match, I think David Gray, who is the manager, I think he would have most likely have left his role. But they got a point. Didn't play great. It wasn't a great game, to be honest. The game only kind of came alive in the last 20 minutes or so. There was 2 late goals in that match. Hibs scored first. You're thinking, oh, they're going to get all 3 points. Then Hearts equalised, and then at the end, Hibs were kind of hanging on. Because I think Hibs at the moment, just in terms of they're so fragile, and I think they had kind of flashbacks to last weekend, obviously, when they lost 2 goals in the last minute to lose. So they were obviously hoping that they weren't going to do that against Hearts at the weekend. But yeah, that ended in a draw. So just thought it was worth mentioning that match as well. So yeah, my standout match is Aberdeen 1, Dundee United 0. We'll just quickly preview. We'll quickly preview the games. So there's a full card of Scottish Premier League matches tomorrow, which will be Wednesday, the 30th of October. So the matches tomorrow, Wednesday, the 30th of October, full card. So Celtic versus Dundee, Dundee United versus Motherwell, Hearts versus Kilmarnock, Ross County versus Hibs, St Mirren versus St Johnstone, and Aberdeen versus Rangers. So I think we both agree that the match it's obviously the biggest match of the night. It's probably Aberdeen versus Rangers. Obviously Aberdeen second, Rangers third. So what game? How do you think that game will go tomorrow, Pearse?
I think this is massive importance. We could potentially see a manager sacking after this game, because if Clermont lose this game for Rangers, they then go 9 points behind Aberdeen. And I think this is the first time for me, in my opinion, that Aberdeen go into this clash as favourites. Because Rangers are a massive club worldwide, and they should have better players on paper, but with a poor start they've had the season, and they've not really played well, and even recently the performances have not been great. They've been dropping points, and even when they're winning games, it's not convincing. There's not really any style of playing like Clermont, and even the weekend where they scraped a win, there was boos from the Rangers crowd, and that's at Ibrox, so it's a worrying times. Obviously Rangers just picking up points, but Rangers, this is more important for Rangers to win, to keep themselves within a fighting chance of getting any silver in the season and getting that second or first position. Because for me, I think if Clermont loses this game tomorrow, I think he will be out of a job. And I think this is how important this game is. And in terms of Aberdeen, they want to just continue to form. They believe they can beat Rangers. They've shown already. They've been to the best club, the champions, Celtic last weekend or the weekend before, and they were 2-0 down, and they came back, got a point, and potentially could have got a win. Even though they didn't play the most expansive football, but it was effective and it caused Celtic problems. So if they can cause Celtic problems away from home, you can just imagine what this game tomorrow will be. I think it'll be fireworks. I think it'll be an absolute tremendous game, and I'm expecting goals and drama and potential red cards, because there's that much is on the line in terms of this for both clubs. Because Aberdeen want to keep that unbeaten record going and keep pushing Celtic all the way, and Rangers will want to get themselves back in the title race. And also potentially Clermont, if he loses his job, I think he could be gone.
Yep. It's a massive match tomorrow. I think it's a big one. It's a big one for Aberdeen, but I think it's even more huge for Rangers. They just cannot afford to lose that game tomorrow. You're right, actually, what you said there at the start. The fact that this is probably the first time in my lifetime that I've gone into this game with Aberdeen favourites, and I've never said that. Usually, always Aberdeen are, you know, it's always either Rangers that are the favourites going into this match, but Aberdeen for me are definitely the favourites tomorrow. Obviously they'll be desperate to win, keep themselves. If they were to win that tomorrow, Aberdeen, then they're definitely for me well in the title race. The fact that they've beaten one of their closest rivals. So I think for Aberdeen tomorrow, if they were to win, that would give them a huge amount of confidence. You know, and they've got every possibility as well. The fact that at Pittodrie, it'll be a sellout, and the form that they're in, you really you wouldn't be surprised if Aberdeen were to win tomorrow. And then whereas Rangers, I mean, it is a massive game for them. I think you're right there in saying that if Rangers were to come out of that match with a defeat, then I would really worry about Philippe Clement's job, because as you said, that'd be 9 points behind Aberdeen, and that's quite a big gap. So for Rangers, it's a massive game for them tomorrow. If they were to win that tomorrow, go to Pittodrie and win, then that could probably kickstart their season because they've not had a great start to the season so far. It's been actually pretty poor, and I think if they were to win that tomorrow, that would kind of release a lot of pressure from the whole club really. So yeah, massive game tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it. Probably it's the biggest game of the night in that. So yeah, really look forward to that match tomorrow. So we'll now move on to the English Premier League. So I'll just quickly go through the results from the English Premier League last weekend. So on Friday, the 25th of October, we had one match which finished Leicester 1, Nottingham Forest 3. On Saturday, 26th of October, the matches finished Brentford 4, Ipswich 3, Brighton 2, Wolves 2, Man City 1, Southampton 0, Aston Villa 1, Bournemouth 1, Everton 1, Fulham 1. And then on Sunday, the 27th of October, the matches finished Chelsea 2, Newcastle 1, Crystal Palace 1, Tottenham 0, West Ham United 2, Man United 1, and Arsenal 2, Liverpool 2. So before we get into these results, we've also I mentioned at the start about the managerial sacking in the English Premier League, and and it was confirmed yesterday that Manchester United have sacked Erik Ten Haag. So they released a statement yesterday, which said that Erik Ten Haag has left his role as Manchester United's men's first team manager. Erik was appointed in April 2022 and led the club to 2 domestic trophies, winning the Carabao Cup in 2023 and the FA Cup in 2024. We are grateful to Erik for everything he has done during his time with us and wish him well for the future. Ruud van Nistelrooy will take charge of the team as interim head coach, supported by the current coaching team, whilst a permanent head coach is recruited. So that was a statement that they put out yesterday. So yeah, big news there. Manchester United have sacked Erik Ten Haag. What's your thoughts, Pearse?
Had to happen, in my opinion. I think he should have gone in the summer. I think Ineos deciding to give him a new deal as well. I think that's a bit naive, considering they've seen how good or how poorly he was last year in the league campaign. Some humiliating defeats against big opposition in the top half of the table. And even then, they finished 9th last year, but with an FA Cup win, that kind of masked over the problems, kind of just papered over the cracks. Because there's some clear and glaring obvious mistakes in in terms of recruitment, in terms of tactics, in terms of style of play, in terms of man management of players. A lot of players were not on side with the manager. Most noticeably Sancho, where he had a fallout, and then Sancho goes and plays a Champions League final for Dortmund. So stuff like that, and then obviously the Ronaldo thing, where he just gets rid of Ronaldo And whatever Ronaldo said in the interview with Pearse McLaughlin is now kind of proven to be true, to be honest. So he forced a club legend out of the club. And just ultimately just not been good enough. I think they're one of the worst sides in terms of converting chances, and they concede far too many goals. So it's a recipe for disaster. And I think when you look at his side, when he managed Ajax, it was exciting, it was free flowing. He was beating massive sides in Europe. He was winning virtually every domestic trophy. But he's came to Manchester United, and again, it's proven to be a graveyard for managers. So I don't think it's all on Erik Ten Haag, but I think football is a results-based business. And look at the table right now; they're sitting 14th in the league, right behind West Ham in 13th, 11 points from 9 games, minus 3 goal difference. That is shocking. Only 8 goals scored in 9 games. You're Manchester United, and the money they've spent as well, heavily back. Zutzi this summer, Ugarte, Mateus de Ligt, Mazraoui. So he's been backed by the board in terms of the money, and all the players that he's bought is the players he's wanted, and they just haven't worked out. And for me, he's not made any player at the club currently at the club better, and so that's down to his man management as well. So I think in the overall package, I don't think he's been good enough, and I think he deserves to be sacked because I don't think a club the size of Manchester United, the form they've got worldwide, to sit 14th in the league, minus 3 goal difference, and struggle game after game, and there's no style of play. And I think it just needs a refresh. I think, obviously, like you said, Vanessa, take the temperatures now. Club legend knows the club very well. Hopefully, a striker's himself. Maybe they plan for this to happen. Who knows? But I think, obviously, potentially as well, it's been rumoured today that Ruben Amorim will potentially be the new
Yeah,
manager.
we'll discuss that. Yeah,
Yeah, so I think they kind of had this in the back burner if it didn't work out, and it's proven to be the case because I think he said he had a terrible start to last year, the campaign last year. 'Cause I remember they get humiliated against Brentford, and they started the season really poorly. But they managed to pick up results, but this season it just went from bad to worse. So I think if you're sitting 14th league as a Manchester United manager, you deserve to be sacked.
yeah. Everything there, I've agreed with. I agree with you. Basically, at the end of the day, I'm not surprised to be honest. To be fair, I think it was coming. It was just a matter of when, and not if. It was just kind of a matter of when. Obviously, when you look at it, they're 14th in the table. Is 8 goals they've scored. 8 goals scored. Minus 3 goal difference. Um, you know, they've not won in Europe for a year. You know, I mean, it's for a club at Manchester United. It's crazy when you listen to these stats. You're right in the terms of the fact that they should have they should have replaced them in the summer. It was well known that they were looking at other coaches, but they obviously decided to keep him on. I think they decided to keep him on because they won the FA Cup against Man City, and they probably just thought that was enough. He's got enough in the bank to just kind of keep him, and they probably thought at the end of last season, okay, he's won the FA Cup. What we'll do this summer is we'll back him, and then let's see how he does next season with the appropriate backing that he got. And again, it just hasn't worked this season. You know, I don't think Erik Ten Hag will have many issues with it, to be honest, because he's had. I mean, the signings that they've made this summer are quite good signings. And just it just nothing changed. And to be fair, at the weekend against West Ham, I have no idea how they didn't win that game. To be honest, the amount of chances they created. I mean, Darlow missed a open goal. I mean, I don't know how he's missed that. And then at the end, they had a penalty. West Ham scored a penalty. For me, it was never a penalty. But they did lose that game, and that just kind of summed up Erik Ten Hag's tenure. He just could not buy any luck. No style of play. They were easy. They were easy to play against, and yeah, at the end of the day, I wasn't surprised. So yeah, Manchester United have sacked Erik Ten Hag. You briefly mentioned it there. So obviously they're now looking for a new manager. It's looking like they're going to appoint Sporting Lisbon boss Ruben Amorim. So in the last hour or so, that news is looking more likely because it was announced by Sport Lisbon put out a statement and they said that Manchester United have expressed their interest in recruiting coach Ruben Amorim and have said they're ready to pay the €10 million release clause. So Sport Lisbon said that in a statement to Portugal's financial regulator, the CMVM. So not done yet, but all the fingers are pointing towards the fact that Ruben Amorim is very, very close to becoming the new Manchester United manager. Once again, Pearse, what's your thoughts on that?
It's interesting to see because I think there's a lot of big names being linked with the job. I think there's obviously someone in Inzaghi also linked with Zidane, to name a few. Allegri's out of job as well. So there's so many top managers that want that job. I think they're maybe wanting to go down the route of a younger manager. And like you say, Ruben Amorim is doing a wonderful job at Sporting in terms of making them competitive in the Champions League, winning league titles. So he knows how he's got a winning culture there in Portugal to play a nice, expansive style of football. They're very exciting to watch from what I've seen. And obviously, he was heavily linked with the Liverpool job in the summer before Arne Slot took it. And I think he had discussions with the club. So I think he was always been touted for a massive club outside of Portugal in the Premier League. And that was the next step in his young managerial career. But it's obviously a massive project for him. I think if he can go in and have a similar effect as Arne Slot, then he can be successful in terms of. We all know they've got a good core group of players there. They still need to be trimmed and reduce that wage bill and get another couple of players at the door. But there's enough players there that they should be getting better results than what they're getting, and they should have a better style of play and just be more exciting to watch. I think a lot of Manchester United fans are just frustrated of what they're seeing in terms of how easy they are to just concede goals and not score. And you look at the young players they've got a lot of young talent there, and they've got a lot of experienced players there as well that should be getting better results. And I think someone like a Ruben Amorim, just a fresh face, fresh ideas, can maybe get the best out of a Manchester United side that is really toiling at the moment.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting potential appointment because I always thought that Van Nistelrooy was going to get the chance. And I had this in my head that I actually thought that Van Nistelrooy was going to end up being permanent manager of Manchester United, but it's quite obvious that Man United are not looking at that. They've acted quickly, and it's quite obvious that Ruben Amorim has been a manager that they've been looking at for quite a while. Just the fact of how quick things have moved. I mean, it's just been over 24 hours since Erik Ten Haag left Manchester United. But he's a very young manager. He's 39 years old. In terms of the job he's done at Sport Lisbon, I think he's done a brilliant job there. Because when he came in there, they weren't great. It was a lot of transition, but he's won the Portuguese title there. I think he was the first manager in about over 10 years to win the Portuguese title with Sport Lisbon. They hadn't won it in a long time. So the fact he did that, is very impressive. He's saying Gyökeres, and look how he's turned out for Sport Lisbon. He's a fantastic player. In terms of his style of play, it's quite interesting. So he often favours a 3-4-3 formation. So he plays some experts say he plays in a low block with attacking wing backs pushing high up the pitch, and then when off the ball, he likes his team to play aggressive and counter attack quickly when in possession. So that's quite interesting because when you think about Man United's team, I always think it's more suited to play a three at the back. They've got the two fullbacks, Mizraoui and Dalot. I think they're better going forward than they are defensively. So I think that formation 3-4-3 would suit them. And then they've got the centre backs like the sort of Delict. They've got Martinez, Harry Maguire, Johnny Evans. A lot of them players can play in a free. So I think Man United I think the Man United board have looked at that and thought they want to go for this manager because they think that with the players that they've got, he can with the style of play and the formation that he plays, that he thinks that he'll get the best out of that team. So I think, I mean, I don't know, that might not be true. He might come in to Man United and play a 4-4-2. I don't know, but I think it's quite an interesting appointment. And if it does happen, he can also speak perfect English. Apparently, his English is really good as well. So I think
I
think if he has to come in,
thought you shared that interview with him. See if you heard the interview, he speaks perfect English. If you close your eyes, it sounds like Cristiano Ronaldo speaking.
yeah, I mean, and well, Cristiano Ronaldo, I mean, his English is pretty good as well. So um, yeah, I mean, it could be a good appointment, but ever since Sir Alex Ferguson's left, I mean, Man United has basically been a graveyard for managers, because I mean, look at Erik Ten Haag before he came in Man United. He was at Ajax, and they were 10 seconds away from reaching a Champions League final. And the football they played when he was at Ajax was brilliant. And then he comes to Man United, and his reputation has been slightly ruined. So for Ruben Amorim, he's got a massive job in his hands if he has to take that job, because um, you know managers have come in there. I think that's about the six managers or something like that that have been appointed since Sir Alex Ferguson, and each one hasn't um, managed to be successful. So, yeah, so Ruben Amorim potentially be appointed. And then we'll just quickly say about the match, our standout match. My match from the weekend in the English Premier League is Brentford 4, Ipswich 3, for the obvious reasons that how high the scoreline was. It just seemed to be goals galore in that game, which it was. Ipswich were 2-0 up in that match, but they couldn't hang on. And that's a great result for Brentford. Whereas Ipswich, I mean, it must be getting harder and harder for them every game. The fact that they had such a good lead in that match and they've come out of it with a 4-3 loss, and the fact they scored 3 goals away from home and still lost. So, yep, that's my standout match. What about yours?
For me, it was the West Ham Man United up
Yeah.
for obvious reasons, so I don't think we really need to go too much into it.
No, we don't. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was my standout match.
Yeah. So we'll now move on to the Ballon d'Or. So the Ballon d'Or, with the Ballon d'Or award ceremony was last night, which was the Monday, 28th of October. And we found out that the Ballon d'Or winner was Rodri, the Manchester City midfielder. So we found that he has won the Ballon d'Or. So congratulations to him. But it's quite before the, but it's quite interesting. There's quite a bit more to the story than that. So Real Madrid thought Vinicius Junior was going to win the Ballon d'Or. They found out before the award ceremony that it won't be him, and Real Madrid have made the decision that they will not. They will have no one in attendance related to the club. So there was no Kylian Mbappe, no Vinicius, no Jude Bellingham, Florentino Perez, nobody like that. They all didn't attend in protest of the fact that Vinicius Junior hadn't won the Ballon d'Or. So, Pearse, what's your thoughts? Rodri won the Ballon d'Or and Vinicius Junior not. I've got a feeling what you're going to say, but where you go.
No, you're not gonna hear what I'm gonna say here.
Oh, okay, okay.
But for example, I do agree that Rodri didn't deserve the Ballon d'Or, in my opinion. I think he had a better season when they actually won the Champions League and they won every trophy. But Messi won it was Inter Miami because obviously the World Cup. And I think Messi's last 2 Ballon d'Ors have kind of made this Ballon d'Or kind of fiasco like uncredible in my opinion. I think it's lost its worth in my opinion. And I think if you're looking at DMs through the history of time, you're looking at some of the best midfielders that have never won a Ballon d'Or. Toni Kroos, Sergio Busquets, Xavi Hernandez, Andres Iniesta, Andre Pirlo, Daniele De Rossi, Philip Lam, Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, Patrick Vieira. All these top players have never won a Ballon d'Or, and you've got Rodri. I think Rodri's a brilliant player, probably the best DM right now in world football. But for me, for him to win a Ballon d'Or, it doesn't sit right with me. Because all he did was win the Premier League and the Euros and a Super Cup. not really nothing. He wasn't really a standout performer for me. I thought he was a good player. He's pivotal in doing what he does for the team, but I don't think he was a standout performer. I don't think he was a standout player. In my opinion, Vinicius Junior, there's an argument he could have won it, but in my opinion, I don't think he deserved to win it. I think he had a good season, but I think the player for me that deserved to win it was Danny Carvajal. If you're going on to performances, and this was a criteria. So performances and individual performances and to help win collective trophies. Danny Carvajal won the lot. He won the Spanish Supercopa, won La Liga, won the Champions League, and he won the Euros. And then the Champions League, he scored a goal in the final and got man of the match. And in the Euros, he was pivotal in every game. And you look at him now for Real Madrid, he's just done his cruciate, similar to Rodri. And the importance when he's out the side is uncanny. Like the job he does for both Spain and Real Madrid is unbelievable. And for me, he was the one for me that I thought deserved it. Because in terms of attacking players, there's not really that calibre player like Messi or Ronaldo that really stood out, or a Haaland or whatever, or in a Kylian Mbappe, because they've pretty much had poor 2024 so far. So for me, I thought Danny Carvajal deserved it in all those aspects. I think Real Madrid even asked that question if that was the case, if Vinicius Junior wasn't the standout player and it was based on like what he's won and how he performed in those matches, I think Danny Carvajal edged it and pipped him because he literally won the lot and he performed exceptional in all those trophies. So for me, I think Real Madrid's decision was correct. In terms of obviously not turning up, but obviously Rodri, he's a brilliant player. There's no getting away. He is world class at his position, but I just think for me, he didn't deserve it. And if you're going to give players like, I think that Busquets, it was the best DM that I've seen in my generation, and for him never to have won it, and somebody like a Rodri to win it is like the first kind of like defensive midfielder. Just has to sit there to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously you're quite passionate about that there. See, my attitude towards these things, I don't get really bored about it, to be honest. I mean, you know, I think a lot of the players do think that as well. I don't think players are really interested anymore in these kind of awards, like the Ballon d'Or, for example. But my thoughts on Rodri winning it, to be fair, if it was me, I would like to have seen Vinicius Junior win it. You know, I just think you make such a good point there about Carvajal. You know, what he won is like he won everything basically. In the last year or so. But I just think for Vinicius Junior, I just think he's literally become the main man for Real Madrid. You know, the way he plays, for me, he just deserved it just for the excitement that he brings on the pitch. Because I think everyone who watches Vinicius Junior, you get that excitement, and just the way he plays. I mean, for me, he's the best player in the world. And I just felt that Vinicius Junior did deserve to win. I understand why Rodri won it, you know, with what he's won. You know, he was such a pivotal part of Man City winning all these trophies in the last year or so. You know, played nearly every game during that spell. You know, was a constant presence in the middle of that pitch for them. So I get it, but for me, I would like to have seen Vinicius Junior win it. But I do believe one day, if he keeps going the way he is, Vinicius Junior, then it's going to be a matter of time anyway. It'll probably be next season that he'll end up winning it. And even Lamine Yamal, you know, he won. I think he was the young player. He won an award last night of being the best young player, which is definitely not surprising. So I think either one of they two.
He also finished Lamine Yamal, I think it's 8th or 9th in the ranking, which I think is ridiculous for 17.
I mean, he's only, 17, 18 years old. It's crazy.
17 the day of the final of the Euros.
Oh, it's crazy. It really is.
Madness.
I mean,
it shows you
what a player.
How good a player he is and how reliant Barcelona are on him, because he is like the next him. He is just unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, but obviously Real Madrid weren't happy with us, by the way, the fact that Rodri won it. They think that Vinicius Junior deserved to win it. But yeah, Rodri wins the Ballon d'Or. Congratulations to him. Just quickly, before we go on Asian football news, Pearse, your quick thoughts on El Clasico last weekend. Real Madrid 0, Barcelona 4.
What's the talking
We're just going to move on.
No,
What a result for Barcelona.
what a result for Barcelona. I thought they won 4-0 and it could have been a lot more. I thought Real Madrid, Mbappe, Vinicius Junior did not perform at all. The midfield was disjointed, and the fullbacks for Real Madrid, Mendy and Lucas Vazquez. Lucas Vazquez isn't really he's a deputy for Carvalho. He's a winger turned fullback, similar to what Ashley Young did later on in his career, where he's went through winger at Manchester United and Aston Villa to a fullback. He was up against Rafinha, and Rafinha and Lamal at the moment are on unbelievable form, and they're Barcelona on the back of destroying Bayern Munich as well. So they're on tremendous form at the moment, and Hansi Flick's got them playing a tremendous style of football. And for me, at the current time of recording, they're favourites for me to go on and win La Liga. In terms of winning the Champions League or something like that, I don't think so. I don't think they're ready yet. But they're cooking something. And I thought Real Madrid had just on the end of a spanking. But history has served that Real Madrid and Barcelona in this Clasico fixture are actually better records away from home. So it'll be interesting to see the second fixture. It's also still the first fixture, but for me, it was a lesson in football that Real Madrid get absolutely humiliated, and it could have been a lot more.
Yep, agree. Barcelona, brilliant at the weekend. Real Madrid not. Brilliant performance. Lewandowski, the front three: Rafinha, Lewandowski, Yamal, fantastic. Very much deserved. What a job Hansi Flick's doing, and I'm the same. Favourites for me at the moment to win the Liga, Barcelona. So for the final part of the show, Pearse will now give his Asian football roundup.
Yeah, so we'll start off with some K-League 1 action. So on Saturday, 26th October, we had two matches. That was Gangwon FC 1 and Kimchong Sangwoo 0. Suwon FC 0, SC Seoul 1. Sunday, 27th October, Daejeon Hana Citizen 1, Daegu FC 0. Pohang Steelers 0, Ulsan HDFC 2. Incheon United 1, Gwangju FC 0. Jeju United 1, Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors FC 0. And that leaves the table looking like this. So top of the table we have Ulsan, after 35 matches for all sides, 65 points, 4-point gap over Gangwon, who are currently sitting second with 3 matches to go. So I think they're pretty much certain that they're going to win the title for the third year in a row. And then Gimchung Sangwoo makes up the top 3 with 57 points. And the closest rivals to them is FC Seoul in 4th position on 53 points, just outside. And in terms of the bottom half, we've got Incheon United, rock bottom. They get a massive win at the weekend over Gwangju FC, which gives them a fighting chance to potentially avoid automatic relegation and go into the playoffs. So they're sitting 35 points for 35 matches played. Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors 11th and 37 points, and then Daegu FC in 10th, making up the bottom 3 with 39 points, and Daejeon Hana Citizen just outside of the bottom 3 in 9th position on 41 points. So in terms of J League 1 action, we only had 3 matches. So last weekend there was no matches. It was the cup competitions. So it was only Wednesday, 23rd October, midweek, right after the podcast we did on Tuesday last week. So Albert's got a 0, Tokyo Verde 2, Gambo Osaka 3, Lugo Grampus 2, Urawa Diamonds 1, Kashiwa Reysol 0. And that leaves the table looking like this. So we have at the top of the table, Sunfrecce Hiroshima, after 34 matches played, with 65 points. And then last season's J1 champions, Vissel Kobe, right behind them on 64 points. And making up the top 3 is the J2 promoted side, FC Machida Zelvia, who have a tremendous season to date and still remain at the top of the table, and still in with an outside chance at the title. But 60 points there, so 5 points separating the top 3. And just inside the top 3, we've got Gambo Osaka on 57 points, having played a game more than the top 3. And at the bottom half of the table, we have Sagan Tusu, rock bottom, 26 points from 34 matches. And they're 6 points adrift from 19th position, which is Hoikuro Console Sapporo on 32 points. So I'm pretty sure another defeat or failure to win any of their remaining matches will result in automatic relegation. They need a miracle at this point in terms of 18th position. We have Jubilee on 35 points, having played a game less than both Cachieirisol and Haukro Consuls Pro, and Cachieirisol sitting in 17th, just outside the relegation places on 39 points. But if Jubilee win that game in hand, they'll go up to 38 points and bring a fighting chance to go outside the relegation places and stay in the J1 for next season. There's also one match tomorrow night, and that's Wednesday, the 30th of October, and it's set for 7 p.m. kickoff, and that is Yokohama F. Mariners versus our Red Diamonds in one of the catch-up matches. So, Shimizu S. Pulse has gained promotion back to the J League 1 after a 1-0 victory over Tochigi SC on Sunday, the 27th of October. So the 2024 J League YBC Levane Cup final between Nago Grampus and Alberts Nagata will be broadcasted live, free on YouTube around the world for everyone to see. Nago Grampus look to reclaim the trophy they won just 3 years ago, what should be a fitting end for the departing legend Mitch Langerack, captain as well, Australian international's goalkeeper, who's served Nago Grampus tremendously well. It'd be a fitting end for his playing career in Japan. Whereas Alberts Nagata aim to make history with their very first ever Levane Cup triumph. And that is all your latest Asian football news.
Thank you, Pearse. And thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Bye-bye.